And today will be historic in GM Talks. Did you subscribe? Did you like? No matter, we'll show it to you anyway. We'll discuss a little bit about something that happened in 1927. That was a long time ago. And the big, maybe one of the biggest talent in the world, José Raul Capablanca, lost his world uh, championship title to Alexander Alekhine. And the big mystery is, why did that happen? Because if you look at the playing style of the two players, and if you look at the talent or how how they measure up, you would say that okay, Capablanca was clearly the better player, no doubt about it. Uh, Alekhine was working very hard. He had a lot of ideas. He was very good with the initiative. He had a dynamic style. He came up with a lot of openings, ideas. But Capablanca's crystal clear, logical chess should have been no match for the Russian player. But Capablanca, he lost. Um, if you when you ask people who uses table bases and who uses a lot of computer analysis, who were the strongest players in history before the World War II, they have three players, and Alekhine is not among them. Try and think if you can guess the three names of the best players in that historic period, and we'll just discuss a little bit more because I think the reason why Capablanca lost was that he had simply had too little resistance in his life. Everything has been too easy. It's a little bit like Rocky 3, where he meets this really nasty boxer, and he's been sort of uh, kept from the real fight. So when Capablanca had to fight for her survival, he was just not able to because he was not used to that. I'm sure that if there had been a rematch, which of course Alekhine never gave him, which was smart by Alekhine, of course, but then Capablanca would probably have won. But back then, the world championship title was sort of private property, and you could just no say I will play you, but not you, and there's nothing you could do. It was later that FIDE was formed, and there was an official title in that way that FIDE controlled, which is of course good. Anyway, Capablanca lost because he could not adapt to that. He met a much tougher first thing was Alekhine was much tougher than Capablanca thought. He thought that okay, I beat the mighty Lasker, and I am the best player in the world, the biggest talent. I was a wonder kid. I was very good even when I was 6 years old. And we have this Russian who's never had any results. Well, not really big results anyway. I'm gonna beat him easily. And Alekhine was very well prepared, and he was ready to fight, and he was in good shape, and Capablanca was sort of a playboy who was walking around in Havana and having smoking cigars, looking at girls, and well, I don't know about that. I was not there, but that's the impression you get when you see pictures that this sort of old-fashioned gentleman was living the La Dolce Vita, and he was meeting this guy who was really had all the fire in him and wanted to win so badly. We're going to see a game that sort of shows the difference. So we'll move into chess here. And by the way, you probably didn't forget about the three best players before World War II, and they were Lasker and Capablanca and Rubinstein. They were, if you analyze with Stockfish and look at the quality of the moves, they were the best players. Okay, let's see some chess. This is match game number 21 in Buenos Aires, 1927, and Capablanca is white, and they played a lot of Queen's Gambits, a lot of Queen Gambit. And you should think that that would be good for a guy like Capablanca, because the plans are clear and you just have to calculate well and maneuver well, and he was very good at that. But Alekhine was prepared. He had studied the style of Capablanca and realized that Capablanca was a little bit lazy, because he didn't have to play so precise. It was a little bit like when Kasparov finally adapted to Karpov and realized, okay, I don't have to lose these games in the first match, and started just drawing them. And Karpov was not ready for this kind of resistance. He was used to that. If he had a good position and he just kept the pressure on, kept making good moves, their opponent would crumble. And if he didn't crumble, you didn't know what to do. And I think it's the same with Capablanca. He was used to that. Well, put a little pressure, lean a little bit here, lean a little bit there, and eventually your opponent falls down. Especially because a lot of the players back then had huge holes. They made big blunders and so on. But not Alekhine. He was really, really concentrated, really, really true grit here. Um, and unfortunately, Capablanca never really got around to it. Also, I think he got tired. He was not used to this kind of exhausting matches. He was used to that. Okay, I can do a little bit ballet here and on the board, and I will win. I think I can't remember what's the name of this line. It's anyway, it's a good line. Uh, Black want to play d takes c4 and b5 and c5. So the plan is basically to go here, 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 and the bishop here, and with a very harmonious position. And that's also what happens in the game. I think the main line, if White really wants to do something here in this orthodox Queen's Gambit, is c5. This move. This is the serious move in the position, trying to gain some space. But it will be very sharp. You can also take on d5, but the rook is not very good on c1. You need it on b1 to carry out the minority attack, because Black will just play c6, and you need to get b4 in and b5. Anyway, he played a3, h6, asking the bishop, and d takes c4, and he does that before Blacks get to play, White gets to play c5 and be ready to play b4 and trying to get some sort of a grip on the queen side. And that's the plan. And bishop e2, I think is normal. You could also play bishop a2, but the chances of really getting a kingside attack going are not great. So it makes sense to play on the king side, queen side anyway. And you're ready to exchange this bishop here at some point. I think if White really wants to play, Black could have played c5 first, but if White really wants to try to get an advantage, he should play b4 here. And he can give the line in. By the way, his comments are pretty good. He's kind of instructive in the way he is calculated. He gives something like this and says Black has a clear advantage, and I just don't believe that. It's just if White castle, why is it big advantage? B5 is hanging and b4 is hanging, and Black already played d5, weakening his king. So I think it must be at least equal, and I would probably prefer to be White here. So I don't agree with Alekhine, but he didn't have stockfish. He was carrying out the analysis on a wooden board, probably in a train or something. By the way, I don't think I never heard anyone say that Alekhine was a very friendly guy. I think the Dutch world champion, said that you could admire Alekhine's playing style, but he would never be a friend. And I think he meant to anyone. Okay. c5, Black carried out all the right moves and is fine for sure. Equalized. He takes. White has no real plan. The I think just taking on d8 and playing rook f to d1 is the sensible way to play here. Just going steady for a draw. I think Capablanca thought that he could outplay Alekhine from this position. He thought that he would be able to play better because he had done that in some of the games, and he was used to being the better player no matter who he met. So it makes sense for him to do that. But the thing was, he was not the better player in this match. I think later on he again began to prove that he was the best player in the world, but it was too late, and he never got another chance. But he did have 6 years as a world champion, and I probably made the Cubans very interested in chess for forever. So that was not a bad thing. And he plays b4, attacking the knight, but he does also create a hole on c4. And here we should probably say, okay, I don't mind that hole. I'll play bishop f3 and exchange the bishop and then go a4. He played bishop g3, saying that I think White still had the illusion that he had a nice advantage here, but he doesn't. Here came another. Here knight b3 is probably the best move. Queen b3 is it's not. It looks normal. And please notice that at the moment all action takes place in on the queen side and in the center. And Black probably needs to get his queen out of the way soon. Right here, and the idea is among other things to go here, because at the moment this bishop is not doing much on this diagonal. White probably would be happy just to clear the queen side, just get rid of the a and b pawns for both sides and say, okay, it's a draw. And because Black's pieces are all poisoned at the right place, while this guy looks good, but you can maybe play around it, so it will not take any part of the action. This is a typical Grandmaster way to try and solve things. And here comes a pretty cool move. Rook c4. Getting places. And if he plays the bishop back, he will take on c3. That was the idea anyway. Because then the bishop is not, there's no, there at the moment there is an x-ray here. But this can work both way. Knight e4 is, and White is sort of getting ready to try and clear the queen side. But it seems that Black has the initiative. And when you look at it with an engine, it's not much, but in a practical game, it's a bit annoying to be under this kind of pressure, and it's very easy to lose. It's much easier than you think. Putting pressure on, take, and here comes another strong move by Black. Can you find it? And doesn't seem like White has done anything seriously wrong, and he hasn't really. But he's come under some pressure, and by playing a little bit too lazy, just giving away a little bit too much on every move, and Black just picking up small advantages here and there. And here he has a nice move, Queen a8, and this dynamic clearly works in White's favor. And we see that this guy is out of the game. At the moment, he doesn't do anything. It's not a bad bishop. It just cannot do anything at the moment. At some point, it might be good, especially if it could go and attack here. But that's way out in the future, and it will not be relevant in the game. There will just sit there. And then that's of course also always a problem. Here white makes a mistake. I think with knight c5 he should be able to hold a reasonable position here and just play e4 here. And I think an e4 and a4. And I think white should hold the draw. I haven't really analyzed it very much, but but after here something like this should be definitely be drawable. You might lose a pawn, but you'll have not enough activity, and the bishop might actually end up being strong and controlling the right squares. Knight c3 is giving away something again, and he keeps giving, and black keeps on taking. Now all the pieces are. We just need that one little bishop on e7 to. And here we see that black is clearly better. You say, okay, we have a symmetrical pawn position, but look at the pieces. White has a knight on d4 that can be kicked with e5. He has a bishop out of the game on d3, and black has a very dominating knight on c4. He has queen. He will have control over the d file, and with the knight on c4, he will probably control all the files. And worst of all for white is he has no places to attack. In chess, you need to do something. You cannot just sit and hope things will turn out good for you. You need to have a plan, especially with these pieces on. And here the white plan is basically to try and clear the queen side and hope for a draw, but it's probably not going to happen. a4 is probably a mistake, weakens the b pawn, and black can easily cover b5. But white was sort of out of good moves. There was no real nice moves. Black will have a nice initiative no matter what he did. And here black's, and this is maybe also surprising for Capablanca, that Alekhine keeps on playing very well here. He plays bishop f6, getting ready to just kick it with the bishop, and it was attacking b4 that just became weaker, and then he moves it. But of course the important thing is what stays and not what goes. There's also some tricks. Rook d1 loses to b takes a4, and there's a fork on b2. He played knight f3, and I think he was worried here for sure. So what to do now? It's your move. Poof. Now why is that a good move? Oh, we notice there is no heir for the king, so you cannot take on c4, because you will just take back with the rook or whatever and play queen d1, checkmate when you take the bishop. So he has to go, and he's losing the c file. He cannot play rook c2 because of rook queen d1 either. Rook d1 runs into yeah, I think knight takes e3 is pretty good. Played rook e1, and we see that the knight is doing a great job here, so keep control, keep all the pieces in the game. Rook d8, and of course whites want some air, but now we see that they both have no scope here. They cannot do anything, and these kind of positions, they kind of loses by themselves. It's so easy to lose in these positions. First of all, black is simply trying to take more space with e4, and this bishop is like a bishop in the Ragosian system that has gone on sort of the wrong side of the tracks and just can't get back. It's just in a dead zone where nothing good or anything will happen. Um, they rook b1, and now white simply crumbles. E4 attacking, and he should go somewhere, and black will go with the queen here, and of course have very nice initiative. My computer might be able to save it, but no human would save this against a determined player like Alekhine. He played here, and now it's all over. We take, and he hopes. Oh, there's a pin, but of course, even if we were allowed to take back with the if you move the queen and so on, but it would be much better for black. But there's no reason to do that. You can win material here, and Alekhine was very good with combinations. He was a great attacking player, and he of course took here, boom, and uh, and and white resigned, and this was not the end of the match. They fought and fought and fought, and in the end, Alekhine wrapped it up with two wins, and sent Capablanca forever into the dark, and never to really come back. And it was a sort of a shame, because Capablanca was. It would have been nice to see how good he could have become now that he was meeting this kind of really tough resistance, which is which, for instance, a guy like Karpov, when Kasparov came along, Karpov got much stronger. He really became much stronger, and he had the best result, tournament result ever in '93, 8 years after losing the title match to Kasparov. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video about Capablanca and Alekhine. And if you like historic videos about chess, please tell me in the comments or somewhere else. Thank you for watching.